We've talked about the boilies, but what about the complementary range that go with them, the pop-ups, dips, that sort of thing? Can you tell us exactly what range you've got?
Yeah, there's the obvious pop-up, which so many people like, the hook bait hovering above the free baits. We do the pop-ups in the same size as the boilie. Again, matching the bait up, I like to use smaller hook baits than the free baits that I'm feeding. Something that's worked so well for me for so many years. So you've got the pop-ups hovering above, we do a hard hook bait. They're handy if you're needing baits out for a long while. You've got the confidence that it's still on, you're not going to wind in with a boilie gum.
In particular, you've got the glugs and the dips that you've mentioned, but what is the actual difference? When would I use a glug, when would I need to use a dip?
Good question, and question get asked an awful lot. They're two very different animals altogether. The glug is a subtle bait booster. You could put the glug straight over free baits, over pellets, and just have a general bigger boost of flavour in the area. It's a liquid food, the bait glug is. The bait dip is a different animal altogether. It's very highly concentrated. You definitely don't want to put it on the free baits, it'll make them that strong. But it's useful for, as it says, it's a bait dip. You dip the hook bait in it before casting. Got a massive boost of flavour around the hook bait, but that's the only one that's emitting that amount of flavour. As that starts dispersing in the water, you get the old chip shop syndrome where you smell the smell, then you go and find the food.
Another question for you then. You've got frozen fresh baits and you've also got shelf life. What's the main difference between them and why would I choose one over the other?
Apart from the very obvious, the shelf life is easier to store. You don't need freezer facilities, you can leave a bag in the car. It's a very good question, this, because for years I used nothing but frozen bait. I honestly believed frozen baits to be superior to shelf life baits, which I still would argue the fact that they were in the early days. When the first shelf life boilies were released onto the market, and not a lot was known about preservatives in the boilie situation at the time. There's lots of experimentation still being done. Things have moved on a long, long way since then. I'm perfectly happy nowadays using shelf life or frozen. I can only get vouch for what we do ourselves. Obviously I know exactly what goes into our shelf life baits. In fact, it surprises a lot of people, I use shelf life hook baits all the time. Often over frozen free baits, but the shelf life baits tend to be a little bit tougher. Part of the preserving process of them, they dried a little bit longer than the standard frozen baits. Like I say, there really isn't any difference. Again, I can only speak for our company, but the ingredients in the boilie are identical to the frozen bait. We don't use different base mixes, we don't use different flavours, it's all the same.
So as a lake owner or a fishery owner, would you have a preference for feeding the fish one or the other, or would you be happy?
Again, I can only speak for what we're offering. I would happily, I mean, I keep fish myself. I've got quite a large pool in the garden. I feed my fish shelf life baits as well as frozen baits. It can be useful combining the two together in a fishing situation. The shelf life bait will stay on the bottom a lot longer. Like I say, it's a tougher bait, so you can have the frozen baits which are letting flavour out a little bit quicker. Then, later scenario, you've still got a little bit more flavour left behind on the shelf life baits. I've had a lot of bad press shelf life baits which is possibly understandable with some of the things that we used in the past. But in this day and age, I really haven't got a problem with it.
So things have generally moved on?
Oh, definitely. There's no way I'd offer a bait which I thought would harm fish.
So let's just talk about some of the other range then, particularly particles. What sort of particles have you got on offer?
Yeah, to complement the boilies and the pellet, we do a whole range of particles. I'd personally be lost in my fishing without certain particles. I use a lot of hemp, so we offer hemp. I use a lot of mixed seeds. As the baits, it tends to be a lot of forgotten baits in the particles. Some real classics: chickpeas, black-eyed beans, pinto beans caught me a lot of fish, tiger nuts obviously. They're all available on the Quest range. There's a few interesting additions for this coming year. We've got the garlic feast, which I've been playing about with some time now. It's a blend of particles, but not just small seeds which a lot of companies offer. There's bigger items in there. There's a lot of the items I just mentioned, the maize, the chickpeas, there's black-eyed beans, there's pinto beans. Give it a garlic flavour over there. I've got a lovely soluble garlic which follows on very much to what I've been doing over the years with the chilled hemp, the hot hemp. Another new product I've been working on is the dark seed mix. Lots of mixed seeds out there at the moment. Majority of them though are the yellow type seeds. They really stand out like a sore thumb on some lake bottoms and can't get very scared of them. They just get scared to feed amongst it. The dark seed mix, basically as it says, it's a blend of very dark seeds. Looks quite light in the bag before it's cooked there. The light bits you can see are hemp, which we all know hemp is black.